Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. Welcome to Unity Longmont Spiritual Center on this beautiful day. We're going to begin with a prayer. So let us take a breath together. Beloved presence, today especially, we are aware of all the mothering going on in our world right now. The mothering of children, the mothering of neighbors, the mothering of animals, the mothering of ourselves, the mothering of partners, the mothering of people we work with and for. We're finding new ways of showing our concern and love and dipping deeply into our inner mother at this time. So we continue to trust that you will guide us and lead us in doing so. And so it is. And this morning we have Reverend Dan Kendrick to give us a talk and lead a meditation. And we have Christina Hildebrandt and her harp Hester for music. So Christina, if you will lead us and provide us some music, that would be wonderful.
Yes, ma'am. Are you ready, Hester? She is ready.
Thank you, Christina, for that tender piece. It was beautiful. And Dan? I'll see if I can unmute you, Dan. There we go.
Oh, you did? Okay. Welcome, everyone. It was very nice to close my eyes and tune in to the light, to spirit, facilitated by that beautiful, beautiful music. There's a principle that I find and have found and continue to find to be true in my experience. It's a principle of where two or more gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. That's one reason I show up. And I figure as long as that presence shows up, we're in great territory. I was also reminded of a scripture. I don't have it in front of me here, but it talks about dwelling in the secret place of the Most High. And I would call that the kingdom of heaven within each one of us. And certainly I also find myself doing that as I talk, tuning into that kingdom within. I've never found a disturbance in the kingdom. I've never tuned into the kingdom within and found any kind of disturbance or anything that would seem to be wrong. I'd say anything less than perfection. And it's a very interesting experience to find myself, maybe I could say to find ourselves, sometimes dwelling in a place where there seems to be a lot of disturbances. I'm reminded of Winston Churchill's definition of history. He defined it as one damn thing after another. And it's further, I think we're all kind of catching on to that these days. Seems to be one damn thing after another. So I think this is a place where you might find yourself asking yourself, what in the world is going on here? And I think that's a really valuable question to ask. What is going on? What's going on for you? What's going on for me? There may be a few moments of silence in this talk, so I hope you take advantage of those moments of silence. Sometimes there's more questions than answers in the talk. So I hope you take advantage of this if you're looking for answers, if whatever you're looking for this morning, that you find that There's another promise that's been given. Seek, you'll find. Knock, and the door will be open. Ask, it will be given you. So that tells me whatever you're looking for, it's here now. Quite often, I sometimes get frustrated because whatever I'm looking for, I'm not finding. And then it's even more frustrating for someone to say, well, what you're looking for is here now. So I find most all of the time, my work is to, if I'm not finding what I'm wanting, what can I do to bring myself into a place where I make that discovery, or I connect with whatever it is I'm looking for. Usually I find it, if I'm not connecting, there's a block I'm dealing with in my consciousness. And then the question would be, how can I release that block? I woke up the other day, and I guess you'd say one of those blocks was very present. It came in the form of feeling irritation. And not my favorite feeling. Along with that, a sense of disconnection, feeling separate. Some judgment of myself. Some of this may sound familiar to some of you. It certainly wasn't my preference as a place to be in my consciousness. I could think of a lot of better places I'd like to be than in irritation, judgment of myself. You get the picture. And had I not had the experience of being in that inner kingdom, which I talked about just at the very beginning, where I've never found there to be disturbance there, that can make it even more frustrating. Some ways it's, sometimes it can be better if you don't know what you're missing. But if you're missing something and you love what you're missing, it can increase the pain. It can increase the suffering. Because you know at one time it was there and now you don't have it. You're not in that place. Maybe that's a genius of pain and suffering. It can become a tremendous motivator for each one of us to come into the kingdom. Perhaps if we did not have pain and suffering, there might be very little hope of us coming into the kingdom. I'm not saying it's impossible to get into the kingdom without pain and suffering. I'm just saying in my own experience, pain and suffering have seemed to play a very positive role by being a very negative thing. In fact, I would encourage anyone who may be having a problem with pain and suffering to maybe try the approach of embracing that as a gift and an opportunity. And then asking, how can I take advantage of what I'm experiencing now for my greater growth and learning, upliftment? And then ask for the guidance, preferably of the light, the Christ, of the divine, whatever term you have for that. So back to the day I woke up with the irritation, I would call it, let's just call it pain and suffering. And I didn't leave it at that because I wanted to let go of that pain and suffering. I just didn't know how to at the time. So I decided I'd go for a walk, and a lot of times that'll do it, get out in nature by myself. And I went for a walk, and on the hike, I got a real clear message, a method that could work. And that was to ask Kate, my wife, if we could call in the light together, something we've done frequently in the past. But I realized since the virus, since the quarantine, whatever you want to call that, we'd not had a little light session where we call in the light and then we give each other maybe 15 minutes just to express, talk. So I came home and Kate agreed to call in the light with me. And she said I could go first, so I went. I called in the light. And voila, within a matter of minutes, I found those doors opened. And there I was in the kingdom. That unconditional loving was present totally. Any concerns I had washed away. And I opened all my consciousness and just asked that the light go to any areas in my consciousness, in my body that needed the light, that needed this loving. And I was verbalizing all this as I was with Kate. And that doorway opened to me once again, that experience. And I found that life can be very simple. It's just opening your heart one more time, then you close it. If you fall down, just get up one more time. If you find yourself out of the kingdom, just get back in the kingdom one more time. It's just that simple. And yet, I could say also it can be challenging. And if that's something we're here to learn, and maybe it is, that this is a classroom, this is a schooling we're going through. We're being given many opportunities, challenges, finding ourselves in that place of pain and suffering, and like, can we, in the midst of this, use this to our advantage to grow in our awareness of the kingdom, to build those spiritual muscles, to get in that kind of shape. Spirit, I guess you could call it spiritual athleticism. You know, any athlete who's good in what they do, they train. And they go through many trials and tribulations and injuries and get over the injury. And I don't know that we'll ever find a solution in this world for what we're seeking. My experience is that solution resides in another place. And that place happens to be inside me, inside you. And that can be either good news or bad news. Depending on how we look at it. I think the bad news part of it is if it's inside me, why don't I know it, or how do I get to it? So the good news is there is a way. And I'm looking at 16 different ways right here of doing it. Yet in all these 16 different ways we represent, there's one common denominator. And that is, as I would see it, is that we're all coming into the Christ consciousness and embodying that Christ consciousness that each one of us is. So if I read the program right, I think there'll be a time for a short meditation a little later. Is that right, David? So I'll just say we'll continue at meditation time and see how Spirit might wrap this up for us.
Thank you. Christina? Thank you, Christina. Dan?
So why don't we just call in the light together? And use this as a time for yourself in the light. If there's anything you're looking for this morning, if any balancing, any healing, if you have any physical aches or pains or illness or emotional concerns, any pain, suffering, or if you're just feeling very balanced and in tune, you can use this as a time just to relish that attunement. And certainly most of all, to make it okay wherever you find yourself this morning. Knowing that you are loved unconditionally, just the way you are. That's always been the case. It's the case now. It will always be the case. So I'll just call in the light. And if you want to do that also for yourself, how you do that. Father, Mother, God, just now we ask for the light of your loving presence, the light of the Christ, to fill, surround, protect us. We ask for a blessing through the Christ of whatever it would be for our highest good at this time and the highest good of all concerned. We invite you in, just see yourself now under the protection of the light. And if you want to use your creative imagination to just see the light touching to you. And through your invitation, if you're open to the invite, just allow the light to come in and minister to you, to your consciousness, to your body, to your emotions, to your mind, to your soul, to your unconscious. This can be a very simple, gentle, loving process. Just allowing the light, asking the light to bring its healing presence that maybe you would not know how to do for yourself, but the light knows how. So it's just a letting go into the light. As you just breathe in and breathe out and receive, you can see it going to any particular areas you'd like it to go to, whether that be in your physical body, just see it clearing your thoughts, clearing your mind, clearing your emotions, any thoughts you don't need, and blessing all of it. To see yourself being restored in your spirit. Just allow the light to flood your consciousness with health. You could say something like, divine love now floods my consciousness with health. And every cell in my body is filled with light. Every cell in my body is filled with light. Another affirmation could be divine love now dissolves and dissipates any negative condition in my body, mind, in my consciousness, in my affairs. Just allow this process of the light in you if there's any other areas. And there could be areas maybe you're not conscious of. Just see the light going to those areas also. See yourself being held and loving by the light. Allow that knowing that all is well with you because you're with the light's with you, you're one. You're being provided for. You're living in the protection of this divine presence, not only now, but all the time. Know you can come to this place and this awareness at any time. And if there's any request or if you'd like to see this light, this love going to any loved ones at this time, any people in your life, maybe could use the light. And beyond that, to this planet, to our world. Just see this light going to all our Earth, people on the earth, the animals, the plants, the air, the water. See the Christ presence coming more and more presence as a reality in and through all of us and in this earth. That the ministry of the Christ is indeed unfolding us through all that is going on in our world individually and in the world at large. That we're all involved in this process of finding out who we are, of coming into our divinity, of inheriting our inheritance, which is the knowledge that we are all children of God, beloved. And so it is.
Thank you, Dan. Christina? Thank you, Christina.
Beautiful.
Hmm. The author of this prayer is unknown. This is a prayer for a pandemic. May we who are merely inconvenienced remember those whose lives are at stake. May we who have no risk factors remember those most vulnerable. May we who have the luxury of working from home remember those who must choose between preserving their health or making their rent. May we who have the flexibility to care for our children when their schools close remember those who have no options. May we who have to cancel our trips remember those that have no place to go. May we who are losing our margin money in the tumult of the economic market remember those who have no margin at all. May we who settle in for a quarantine at home remember those who have no home. During this time when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other, let us yet find ways to be the loving embrace of God to our neighbors. Amen. And we'll end our service with music from Christina.
Let me get out of this key because we've been here for a while.